loop in here with my knife tool. Put this back in the sub D, add another loop, and it should give me more of a solid look in. So it's kind of rounded, but not entirely. And if I wanted to, probably add a knife loop. Around there if I didn't like the bulb on these actual objects themselves. But that's fine. Okay. We're just going to undo all those. But we got to do this one again. Okay, cool. So it's a nice, cool object I got. That works pretty good. Things that I might want to work on, I could probably add some more geometry this way if I wanted to. Maybe we can get away with just selecting the faces. See if that works before okay, cool. So I'm gonna go select these faces, see if I can get it to scale together. Actually, we'll just go ahead and normals. Okay. Long normals. Okay, so what I did is, since these are actually didn't work correctly, so okay, let me go through the process of what I did. Okay, so I selected these objects right here, and so their normals, since I have my normals displayed, are poking out in opposite directions. When I tried to scale them out, it would either go opposite from each other or whatnot. So what I did is, and I'll have to change this back because it will drive me crazy. Go to your move tool, go to your attributes on the move tool, modeling axis, and then what you do is you make sure it's selected, and so that means whatever's selected, and then I go ahead and select normals, orientation as normals, and then along the normals. What this is doing is that if I translate this way, it's going to pull from those normals in that direction. So you can think of the normals, it would be the x1. So as you can see, now they're going to be pulling at the same rate and be exactly the same, but they're actually going in pretty opposite, more complex areas. And that's one way they can go about modeling with that. All right, there we go. And I just put the object, and then back to the axis. And if you ever mess that up, you can actually delete your profile or your preferences. Okay, so that's a nice, interesting shape. Got that going. The next part looks like it is. Since this is. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and this is a very more of a complex shape to it, but I'm not going to worry too much about it, is the way that this is actually working is that this part right here where the screws are and the faceplate is actually a separate piece from this object, and right on these cuts right here is where it rotates. And the way that it is actually made is actually a pretty nice design, that whenever it is on flipped, because it can flip in three positions. Either one is back all the way it's in the picture, one is up, and then one is down all the way. Now on each particular one, it is entirely flat all the way. I'm going to take a little bit of leeway and a little bit of creative control with creating this. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because that would take me a lot of time. Although I do have this all set up, at least from this one, and then on the opposite one, I would have to work on making sure that this thickness was the exact same as this thickness, and that it was straight all the way here. And that's actually not that hard to get this straight all the way here. I would have to bring this back in a little bit more, get more holding edges and stuff like that. But we're not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to place this and size this right with the actual camera itself. And we're going to actually, we'll call this open aiming top. And open aiming top HD. Alrighty. So got that on. Camera body is open. And we are going to move this around. And it actually goes a little bit over the edges, but I think it's a little bit too much. So I might scale it down, since I know that the proportions are correct 100%. I'm just going to take this, I'm just going to scale it down ever so slightly. Probably, let's see. Okay. Alrighty. Since I'm actually scaling it inside this view itself, I don't have to worry about it's scaling with the thickness at all. All it's really doing is I'm taking these and it's scaling the other dimensions, so it's not messing with the width of it, but the length and the height of it, length and the height. So length, height, and it's not going in the other direction. So that's a good spot for it right there. I believe that's pretty spot on in the middle. And what I'm going to do is just make sure that it is in the right spot. It does have a little bit of a gap to it. And there we go. Bring this down. It does have a little bit of a gap to it. Like this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up in this side view right here. And just make sure, see, like even if I look at it now, kind of eyeballed it from right there, and I got relatively about the right length to it, and almost the right thickness to it. Actually, this, if I want to be 100% honest, this part is a little bit thicker than this part, but that's fine. That's fine for me. All right. So that's set up, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cube object, and alrighty, actually I wonder if I can see if we can make this tube and rotation segments, bring that down quite a bit to 4, so it's a cube. So now what we're seeing here is that I made a cube with the tube object, and all I did was just change the rotation segments to 4. So if I keep on bringing it up, I bring it down. But I have 4, so that means that there are 4 sides. And now I can mess with that at all. And I probably only need to rotate this 45 degrees. That's going to give me a good rotation like that. Again, this is the part of the math that's going to come with it is that 90 degrees is going to go so to show this is pretty easy. Make a plane, move the plane out over here so we can kind of show you guys a little bit. Bring the object, bring it down to 4. Okay, so to make this a little bit easier to understand, we're going to take this, have this object right here, make it editable, take this. We're going to get rid of alright, there we go. Okay, so we're going to get rid of this so I can kind of explain it to you. And this is really basic math, so don't feel too bad about it. Alright, so we got our rotation. I'm selecting this plane object. We're going to look at the coordinations. So the way it was set up is that it wasn't like this particular view how it was. So if I did a rotation of 50, it kind of doesn't give me that particular object. But if I go 90, 90 is going to go give me one turn, like a right turn. And then if I go ahead and go down more for another 90 with 180, it's going to give me a full turnaround, so it's going to be opposite. And if I go down more, another 90 degrees, it's going to be 270. Now, what you're going to see, and this is where math comes in, it's pretty nice, is that I'll go ahead and pull up my calculator. And I use my calculator quite a bit. So if I want to go with like a half turn from where I'm at, so if this is at, we'll say this is at a full 0, so a full 0 is also equal to 360. And if I wanted to do a half turn, you can do it by 0, and it'll be 180. Now, what we can also do, if we want to get this, since it was on that weird diamond shape, just because of the way that worked out with the reducing the rotations, it was set. So it was set somewhere between a 90-degree angle. So it was set at a 45-degree angle. So all I really had to do is rotate it 45 degrees. Now I don't know why it doesn't snap at a 40, like at number powers of 45. So at 135, and then plus another 90 at 225. I don't know why it doesn't snap at those numbers also, which in my opinion it probably should, but just probably the way that it is written with the software is that it is set up with tens. So that's probably more of a software writing problem. But you win some, you lose some. Okay, so we got this set up. We're going to go ahead and rotate this. Now this is going to rotate weird, so what we're going to do is I'm going to throw this inside a null, and I'm going to select the null itself. Now the null is going to have its own